I was sitting across from Tyler at the Daily Grind, our usual Saturday afternoon spot, when he dropped the bomb that changed everything. After 2 years together, he looked me straight in the eyes and said, "I think we should just be friends." I should have been devastated. I should have cried, begged, or at least looked shocked. Instead, I smiled and said, "Perfect." The confusion on his face was priceless. He had no idea what he had just unleashed. Before I tell you how this played out, drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from, and do not forget to hit that like button, because this story has a twist that will make you rethink everything about friendship boundaries. Trust me, by the end of this, you will understand exactly why sometimes the best revenge is just giving people exactly what they ask for. Tyler and I met 3 years ago at Morrison Marketing here in Austin, Texas. I was 24, fresh out of college, and he was this charming account executive who always knew exactly what to say. Our first year together felt like a fairy tale. He would surprise me with sunflowers at the office because he remembered they were my favorite. He would text me good morning every single day and never forgot our monthly anniversary dates. When we moved in together after 8 months, I thought we were building something real. Tyler had this way of making me feel like I was the center of his universe. He would cook breakfast on Sunday mornings, plan weekend trips to San Antonio, and even learn to make my grandmother's apple pie recipe just to impress me. But somewhere around month 18, things started shifting. It was subtle at first. Tyler began asking me to handle more of the household stuff. "Babe, could you throw my work shirts in with your laundry?" became a weekly request. Then it was, "I am running late. Could you grab groceries on your way home?" Before I knew it, I was doing all the cooking, cleaning, and organizing, while Tyler relaxed after work. I told myself this was normal. Couples shared responsibilities, right? I convinced myself I was being supportive, even when Tyler stopped planning dates and started expecting me to handle our social calendar too. I was so busy trying to be the perfect girlfriend that I missed all the red flags. That is when Madison entered our lives. Madison was Tyler's college friend from University of Texas, and she moved to Austin last spring for a job at a tech startup. Tyler was excited to reconnect with her, and I was happy for him. I encouraged their friendship because I did not want to be that jealous girlfriend who controlled her boyfriend's social life. They started hanging out more frequently. First, it was coffee meetings to help Madison network in the city. Then it became gym sessions because Madison needed a workout buddy. Pretty soon, Tyler was spending 3 evenings a week with Madison, going to trendy restaurants I had been wanting to try for months. What bothered me was not just the time he spent with her, but how he acted during those times. Tyler would put his phone face down during dinner with me, but I noticed he never missed a text from Madison. He would check his messages constantly, even during our conversations. When I asked about it, he would say, "Madison is just going through a tough transition. She needs support right now." I started feeling like an outsider in my own relationship. Tyler would come home from their hangouts energized and talkative, but with me, he seemed distracted and tired. He stopped asking about my day, stopped planning surprises, and stopped making an effort to connect with me emotionally. The breaking point came on that Friday afternoon at the Daily Grind. We had been sitting there for 10 minutes making small talk about work when Tyler suddenly got serious. He started with the classic breakup speech about needing space to figure himself out. "I love you, but I am not in love with you anymore," he said, looking down at his coffee cup instead of meeting my eyes. He explained that he felt like we had grown apart, that maybe we were better suited as friends. "You are amazing, Allie, but I think we both deserve to find someone who makes us truly happy," he continued. The whole time he was talking, I could see him glancing at his phone, probably waiting for a text from Madison. Instead of falling apart like Tyler clearly expected, I felt this strange sense of clarity wash over me. I realized that I had been holding on to something that was already gone. Tyler had checked out of our relationship months ago, probably around the time Madison showed up. So I smiled, reached across the table, and squeezed his hand. "Perfect," I said. "I totally understand. We should definitely just be friends." Tyler looked genuinely confused. I think he had prepared himself for tears, arguments, maybe even some begging. Instead, he got acceptance and agreement. "Really?" he asked. "You are okay with this?" "Absolutely," I replied. "Friendship is so much simpler, is it not? No expectations, no obligations. Just two people who care about each other platonically." The relief on Tyler's face was almost insulting. He actually hugged me and said, "I am so glad you understand. I was worried this would ruin everything between us." Little did he know I was about to show him exactly what just friends really meant. Tyler assumed that our transition to friendship would be seamless. He figured we could keep living together, keep sharing expenses, and keep doing all the couple things we had been doing, just without the romantic label. He was about to learn that I took friendship boundaries very seriously. The first lesson came the very next morning. Tyler wandered into the kitchen expecting his usual Saturday breakfast of scrambled eggs and bacon. Instead, he found me eating a bowl of cereal and reading a book. "Where is breakfast?" he asked, looking around confused. I looked up from my book and smiled. "Oh, I just made enough for myself. You know how it is with friends. Everyone handles their own meals." Tyler stood there for a moment, clearly trying to process this new dynamic. "But you always make breakfast on weekends," he protested. "That was when we were dating," I explained calmly. "Friends do not cook for each other every day." "That would be weird, right? I mean, I do not make breakfast for my friend Jessica every weekend." The light bulb was starting to flicker, but it had not quite turned on yet. Sunday brought the laundry lesson. Tyler brought his hamper to the laundry room, where I was starting a load of my clothes. "Mind if I add these to your load?" he asked, just like he had dozens of times before. I paused the washing machine. "Actually, Tyler, I think it is better if we keep our laundry separate now. You know, boundaries and all that. I would not do laundry for my friend Marcus, so it would not be fair to treat you differently." Tyler's face showed the first signs of real concern. "But it is just laundry. It is more efficient to do it together." "I totally get that," I said, restarting my machine. "But friends respect each other's time and resources. I am sure you understand." By Monday evening, the reality was starting to sink in. Tyler came home from work expecting dinner, but I had only prepared a portion for myself. When he opened the refrigerator looking for leftovers, he found a note that read, "Tyler's food is labeled with your name. Please remember to replace anything you finish." "Allie, can we talk?" he asked, sitting down at the kitchen table while I enjoyed my homemade pasta. "Of course," I said, between bites. "What is up, friend? This whole boundary thing is feeling kind of cold. I thought we could still be close friends." I nodded thoughtfully. "We absolutely can be close friends, but close friends still respect each other's independence, right? I am just treating you exactly how I treat my other friends, equal and fair." Tyler was quiet for a moment. "So, if I want dinner, I need to cook it myself?" "Or order takeout," I suggested helpfully. "That is what friends do. They handle their own basic needs." The next few weeks were educational for both of us. Tyler had to learn how to grocery shop for one person, how to meal plan, and how to manage his own schedule without relying on me to keep track of everything. Meanwhile, I was rediscovering how much free time I had when I was not constantly taking care of someone else. I started going out with my actual friends more often. Jessica and I would hit up happy hour at local spots. I joined a book club that met Thursday evenings, and I even signed up for a pottery class I had been wanting to try for months. Tyler would come home to find me getting ready for another social event, and I could see the confusion growing in his eyes. "You are going out again?" he asked one Thursday, as I applied lipstick in the hallway mirror. "Book club," I said cheerfully. "We are discussing The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo tonight. Should be fun. What about our Thursday night movie tradition?" I turned to face him. "Tyler, that was a couple tradition. We are friends now. Remember? Friends do not have standing weekly commitments like that. It creates too much dependency." Tyler was beginning to realize that friendship was not the upgrade he thought it would be. Without the structure of our romantic relationship, he was experiencing something he had never had to face before: genuine independence. The breaking point came when Tyler tried to initiate physical affection. We were watching television one evening when he automatically put his arm around me like he had done hundreds of times before. I gently moved away and created some space between us on the couch. Friends maintain appropriate physical boundaries, I explained when he looked hurt. I would not cuddle with my friend David, so I should not cuddle with you either. It sends mixed signals. Tyler stared at me for a long moment. This is not what I expected friendship to look like. "What did you expect?" I asked genuinely. "I thought we could still be us, just without the pressure." That is when I realized Tyler had wanted to keep all the benefits of our relationship while eliminating his own emotional investment. He wanted a friend who acted like a girlfriend, but without having to reciprocate the care and attention that relationships require. Around this time, I decided to explore my own romantic options. I downloaded a few dating apps and started matching with interesting people around Austin. The first few conversations reminded me how exciting it could be to meet someone new, someone who was genuinely interested in getting to know me. Tyler noticed immediately when I started spending time on my phone laughing at messages and typing responses with obvious enthusiasm. "Who are you texting?" he asked one evening, trying to sound casual. "Just friends," I replied, borrowing his favorite phrase. "You know how it is." But I could see the curiosity and something else, something that looked suspiciously like jealousy creeping into his expression. Tyler was starting to understand what he had given up. 3 weeks into our new friendship arrangement, I made a discovery that changed everything. Tyler had left his laptop open on the kitchen counter, and a text notification popped up on the screen. I was not trying to snoop, but Madison's name caught my eye, along with a timestamp that made my blood run cold. The message was from 3 months ago, well before our breakup conversation. I know I should not have looked, but something compelled me to scroll up through their text history. What I found was a months-long emotional affair laid out in digital detail. Tyler had been confiding in Madison about our relationship problems, but not just confiding. He had been flirting, sending messages about how much he missed her from college, and even discussing his growing feelings for her. Madison, for her part, had been encouraging his doubts about our relationship while playing innocent. One message from Tyler read, "I keep thinking about what you said about not settling. Maybe you are right about Allie and me." Madison's response was, "You deserve someone who truly understands you, Tyler. Someone from your past who knows the real you." Another exchange showed Tyler asking Madison, "When do you think would be the right time to end things with Allie?" Madison had replied, "Only you can decide that, but life is too short to waste in the wrong relationship." The final straw was a message from just 1 week before our breakup, where Tyler wrote, "I think I am going to have the conversation with Allie this weekend. I cannot keep pretending anymore." Madison's response was a simple heart emoji. Instead of feeling devastated, I felt vindicated. My instincts had been correct all along. Tyler had not grown apart from me naturally. He had been actively planning his exit strategy while using me as his personal assistant and emotional support system. But rather than confront him immediately, I decided to let the situation play itself out. I was curious to see how Tyler's grand plan would unfold now that he was getting exactly what he thought he wanted. Around this same time, I matched with someone interesting on a dating app. James was a 30-year-old architect who had recently moved to Austin from Denver. His profile showed someone who enjoyed hiking, cooking, and had a healthy relationship with his family. Most importantly, his opening message was thoughtful and asked genuine questions about my interests rather than leading with some tired pickup line. Our first phone conversation lasted 2 hours. James asked about my work, my hobbies, and my goals for the future. He shared stories about his architectural projects and his passion for sustainable building design. What struck me most was how present he was during our conversation. He was not distracted, not checking his phone, not half listening while thinking about something else. When James asked me out for coffee, I suggested we meet at a small local place called Radio Coffee, instead of the chain restaurants Tyler always preferred. James arrived exactly on time, held the door open, and insisted on paying for our drinks. During our conversation, he put his phone face down on the table and gave me his complete attention. The contrast with Tyler was striking. James asked follow-up questions, remembered details from our previous conversations, and seemed genuinely interested in learning about me as a person. He did not expect me to entertain him or manage the flow of our interaction. Instead, he actively participated in creating a connection between us. After our coffee date, James texted me to say he had enjoyed our conversation and would love to see me again. No games, no waiting 3 days to respond, no mixed signals. Just honest, direct communication from someone who knew what he wanted. Meanwhile, Tyler's situation with Madison was not progressing as smoothly as he had anticipated. I could overhear his phone calls with her, and it became clear that Madison was enjoying the attention, but was not ready to commit to anything serious. She would make plans with Tyler, then cancel at the last minute. She would respond to his romantic gestures with casual thanks, treating his efforts like friendly favors rather than expressions of deeper feelings. One evening, Tyler came home looking frustrated and defeated. Madison had canceled their dinner plans for the second time that week, claiming she had a work emergency. "I just do not understand women," he muttered as he microwaved a frozen dinner. I looked up from the book I was reading. "That sounds frustrating," I said neutrally. "Madison keeps sending mixed signals. One day she acts interested, the next day she is distant and unavailable." The irony was so thick I could have cut it with a knife. Tyler was experiencing exactly what I had felt during the final months of our relationship when he was emotionally unavailable and only gave me partial attention. "Maybe she is just not that interested," I suggested. "Sometimes people enjoy the attention without wanting commitment." Tyler shot me a look. "That is pretty cynical, Allie." "Just realistic," I replied. "Some people like having someone chase them without having to reciprocate the effort." Tyler's phone buzzed with another cancellation text from Madison. I watched his face fall as he read it. For the first time since our breakup, Tyler was experiencing what it felt like to be on the receiving end of breadcrumb affection. That weekend, James invited me to a local art festival in Zilker Park. We spent the afternoon browsing vendor booths, trying local food trucks, and listening to live music. James bought me a small ceramic bowl from one of the artists because I mentioned how beautiful the glaze work was. It was a simple gesture, but it showed he had been paying attention to my interests. When I got home that evening, glowing from a perfect day, Tyler was sitting on our couch looking miserable. Madison had apparently stood him up for a date they had planned weeks in advance. "Rough day?" I asked, genuinely feeling some sympathy for him. Madison canceled again. She said something came up with her family, but I saw her Instagram stories. She was out with other friends. I sat down in the chair across from him, maintaining our friendship boundaries. "That sounds really disappointing." Tyler looked at me with something approaching desperation. "Do you think I made a mistake, Allie, breaking up with us? I mean," it was the first time Tyler had expressed any doubt about his decision. I could see him starting to realize what he had traded away for a fantasy that was not materializing. "I think," I said carefully, "that you made the choice that felt right for you at the time. And now you are learning what that choice actually means." Tyler's phone remained silent for the rest of the evening. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed with a sweet goodnight message from James, along with a photo he had taken of me laughing at the art festival. I found myself smiling at the image, remembering how natural and easy the day had felt. Tyler noticed my smile. "Good news?" he asked. "Just a friend," I said, using his favorite deflection. "You know how it is." But Tyler was starting to understand exactly how it was, and he did not like it one bit. The universe has a sense of humor, and it delivered the ultimate punchline 6 weeks after Tyler and I became just friends. During my third date with James, he casually mentioned his ex-girlfriend from Denver. "She actually moved to Austin around the same time I did," he said, as we shared dessert at South Congress Cafe. "Small world, but we have managed to avoid running into each other." "What was her name?" I asked, more out of polite conversation than genuine curiosity. "Madison," James replied. "Madison Clark. She works in tech now." I nearly choked on my tiramisu. The odds were astronomical, but apparently I was dating the ex-boyfriend of the woman Tyler had left me for. James noticed my reaction immediately. "Are you okay? Do you know Madison?" I took a sip of water to buy myself time. "Actually, yes. She is connected to my ex-boyfriend." James raised an eyebrow. "Connected? How I decided honesty was the best policy. She is the reason my ex-boyfriend and I broke up. They have been seeing each other." James leaned back in his chair, processing this information. "Madison is dating your ex-boyfriend." "Well, trying to date him. It is complicated." James laughed, but not in a mean way. "That is definitely Madison's style. She has a pattern of getting involved with men who are already in relationships. It gives her some kind of thrill to be the other woman." This revelation hit me like a lightning bolt. Madison had not just developed feelings for Tyler organically. She had specifically targeted him because he was in a relationship. Tyler had not been special or irresistible. He had simply been available and willing to participate in her game. "Tell me about your relationship with Madison," I said, genuinely curious now. James swirled his wine thoughtfully. "Madison is charming and exciting at first, but she gets bored easily. She likes the chase more than the actual relationship. Once she had my complete attention and commitment, she started looking for her next conquest." "How did you figure that out?" "She started spending a lot of time with a guy from her work who was engaged to someone else. She claimed they were just friends, but I could see the same patterns she had used with me when we first got together. The excessive texting, the secretive phone calls, the way she would light up when talking about him." James continued. Madison gets a rush from feeling like she can steal someone away from their partner. It makes her feel powerful and desirable. But once the person is actually available, she loses interest because the challenge is gone. Suddenly, Tyler's situation made perfect sense. Madison had enjoyed the thrill of convincing him to leave me, but now that he was free and pursuing her openly, she found him boring. The game was over, and she was already looking for her next target. "I should probably mention," James added, with a slight smile, "Madison is going to lose her mind when she finds out I am dating someone new, especially someone connected to her current situation." "Why is that?" "Because Madison likes to keep her exes in her orbit as backup options. She never fully lets go of anyone just in case she needs an ego boost or gets lonely. The fact that I am moving on completely will threaten her sense of control." Over the following weeks, my relationship with James deepened in ways that my relationship with Tyler never had. James was emotionally available, communicative, and genuinely interested in building something real together. He did not expect me to manage his life or sacrifice my own needs for his convenience. More importantly, James treated our relationship as a partnership. He planned dates, remembered important details about my life, and made effort to integrate me into his social circle. When I cooked dinner, he cleaned up afterward. When he worked late, he texted to let me know when to expect him home. These were basic courtesy behaviors that Tyler had stopped providing months before our breakup. Meanwhile, Tyler's pursuit of Madison was becoming increasingly desperate. I could hear him on phone calls trying to convince her to give them a real chance. Madison would occasionally throw him a bone with a last-minute coffee meetup or a group hangout, but she consistently avoided any one-on-one romantic situations. The breaking point came when Madison discovered that James and I were dating. Apparently, she had seen us together at a restaurant downtown and immediately called Tyler in a panic. I overheard his side of a heated phone conversation that evening. "What do you mean Allie is dating your ex-boyfriend?" Tyler said into the phone. "How is that even possible?" I could not hear Madison's responses, but Tyler's face grew darker with each passing minute. "No, Madison, I do not think this is some kind of conspiracy against you. Austin is not that big a city." More silence. Then Tyler said, "I do not understand why you are so upset about this. You said you were over James." After Tyler hung up, he sat in stunned silence for several minutes. Finally, he looked at me and asked, "Is it true? Are you dating Madison's ex-boyfriend?" "I am dating James," I confirmed. "The fact that he used to date Madison is just a coincidence. Madison thinks you are trying to get revenge on us." I laughed genuinely. "Tyler, I had no idea about their history when I started seeing James. But honestly, after learning about Madison's patterns, I am not surprised she sees conspiracy where none exists." Tyler looked confused. "What patterns?" "James told me about how Madison operates. She targets men in relationships because she enjoys the challenge of breaking them up. But once those men are actually available, she loses interest." Sound familiar? I watched Tyler's face as he processed this information. The realization was dawning that he had been played by someone who saw him as a game rather than a genuine romantic prospect. "She specifically goes after men who are taken." According to James, yes. It is her thing. Tyler was quiet for a long time after that conversation. I think he was finally understanding that Madison had never been interested in him as a person. She had been interested in the challenge of taking him away from me. Now that the challenge was over, Tyler was discovering what I already knew: Madison was not capable of the kind of genuine connection he thought he wanted. 3 days later, Tyler came home with news that surprised no one except him. Madison had started dating someone new, a married co-worker from her company. She had told Tyler that she needed space to focus on herself, but her social media told a different story. "I feel like such an idiot," Tyler admitted as he sat across from me at our kitchen table. "You made a choice based on what you thought you wanted," I replied. "Now you know what that choice actually cost you." Tyler looked at me with something approaching desperation. "Allie, do you think there is any chance we could try again? I realize now how good we had it together." I felt a wave of sadness, but not for the reason Tyler probably expected. I was sad for the time I had wasted trying to make our relationship work when Tyler had been fundamentally unavailable. But I was not sad about where I was now. "Tyler," I said gently, "I am happy now. Really, genuinely happy. I am with someone who chooses me every day, not someone who has to be convinced of my worth." Tyler's face crumpled. "So, there is no chance." "We can absolutely be friends," I said. "Real friends with healthy boundaries and mutual respect. But romantically, that door closed when you decided you wanted someone else." Tyler nodded slowly. "I understand. I just hope you know how sorry I am for everything." "I know you are," I said, "and I forgive you. But forgiveness does not mean going backward." 6 months later, Tyler moved out of our shared apartment and relocated to Dallas for a new job opportunity. He said he needed a fresh start, and I could not blame him. Austin held too many reminders of his poor choices and missed opportunities. Madison, true to form, had moved on to her next conquest and barely acknowledged Tyler's departure. Her affair with the married co-worker had imploded when his wife discovered their relationship, and Madison was already setting her sights on someone new. James and I would occasionally see her around town, but she avoided us completely, probably embarrassed by how transparent her motives had become. As for me, the months following Tyler's departure became a period of incredible personal growth. Living alone for the first time in years, I rediscovered parts of myself that I had neglected during our relationship. I took up rock climbing, started learning Spanish, and even began writing a blog about dating experiences in Austin. My relationship with James continued to evolve in healthy and surprising ways. He encouraged my independence while also making it clear that he was committed to building something lasting together. We talked about moving in together, but we took our time making that decision, ensuring we were both ready for the increased commitment. The most profound change was in how I viewed relationships themselves. My experience with Tyler had taught me the difference between someone who wants to be with you and someone who just wants you to be available when it is convenient for them. Tyler had wanted a girlfriend who functioned like a personal assistant, someone who would manage his life while asking for nothing in return. James, on the other hand, wanted a partner. He wanted someone to share experiences with, someone to support, and be supported by someone to grow alongside. The difference was transformative. One evening, as James and I were cooking dinner together in his kitchen, he asked me something that made me pause. "Do you ever regret how things ended with Tyler?" I considered the question seriously. "I regret that it took me so long to recognize what was happening. I regret that I made myself smaller to accommodate someone who was not willing to do the same for me. But do I regret the ending itself?" "Not for a second." James nodded. "Tyler's loss was definitely my gain." "You know what the funny thing is?" I said, stirring the pasta sauce. "Tyler actually did me a huge favor. He showed me exactly what I did not want in a relationship. He taught me to recognize the difference between words and actions, between someone who claims to love you and someone who actually chooses to love you every day." "And Madison?" James asked with a slight grin. Madison taught me that not everyone operates from a place of genuine intention. Some people are just looking for validation and drama. The best thing you can do with people like that is not engage with their games at all. James pulled me close and kissed my forehead. I am grateful every day that you both learned those lessons before we met. As we sat down to enjoy our homemade dinner, I reflected on the journey that had brought me to this point. Tyler's rejection had felt like the end of the world at the time, but it had actually been the beginning of something much better. I learned that when someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Tyler had shown me that he was someone who took love for granted, who prioritized novelty over commitment, and who was willing to betray trust for the illusion of something better. Madison had shown me that she was someone who thrived on chaos and competition rather than genuine connection. Most importantly, I learned that my worth was not determined by someone else's ability to recognize it. Tyler's inability to appreciate what we had together was not a reflection of my value as a partner. It was a reflection of his own emotional limitations and poor decision-making. The experience taught me to set boundaries from the beginning of relationships, to maintain my independence even while building intimacy with someone else, and to never again make myself responsible for managing another person's emotional well-being at the expense of my own. Tyler occasionally sent messages through mutual friends, usually when he was between relationships and feeling nostalgic. The messages were always some variation of, "Tell Allie I said hello," or, "I hope Allie knows how sorry I am." But I never felt tempted to respond or reopen that chapter of my life. I had moved forward, and there was no benefit in looking backward. Now, whenever friends come to me with relationship problems, I share the lesson that Tyler inadvertently taught me. Sometimes, the best thing someone can do for you is show you exactly who they really are. When they do, listen carefully and then make your decisions based on that information rather than on who you hope they might become. Tyler wanted to be just friends, and I gave him exactly what he asked for. In doing so, I discovered what I really wanted in a relationship and found the courage to pursue it. His rejection became my redirection, and his loss became my gain. The funniest part of this whole story, Tyler taught me exactly what I did not want in a partner, and for that lesson, I am actually grateful. Sometimes the worst relationships teach us the most about what the best relationships should look like. So here is my question for all of you watching. Have you ever had someone do you a favor by showing their true colors, even though it hurt at the time? Drop a comment below and share your story, because I guarantee you are not alone in learning hard lessons from people who were not meant to stay in your life. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real talk about relationships and life lessons. And do not forget to share this with anyone who needs to hear that sometimes rejection is just redirection in disguise. Thank you for listening, and remember that the right person will never make you question your worth. Until next time, keep choosing yourself and trusting your instincts.